Are you ready?
Yeah, sure. Cheers. Welcome back to the Tex-Mex Mexican After Show.
Well, welcome back to my channel, whose name my wife doesn't even know. So welcome back, all my Tex-Mexers. It's a new year, but it's the same old me. But this time, my wife is joining me on a video. And she's asked that I blur her face because she doesn't have confidence in me.
Oh, he's technically Mexican and 3/4 American, but for 3 generations he's got that nationality. Great-great-grandpa headed south, whose kids had kids then turned around. It's not what the show's about, but it's why he's Mexican technically. It helps that he was raised in New Mexico, lived in Guadalajara for 2 years, speaks fluent Spanish with a bachelor's degree in language, and makes a mean taquito.
I was going to say something, but I didn't have anything to say. I just don't want to be on YouTube.
So, this is my wife, or a simulacrum thereof. Haven't quite decided what I'm going to paste over her face, because she has requested that she does not appear on my channel, but she has been watching the Wheel of Time show and reading the books, and I really wanted to get her take on it.
Well, let me correct that. I did not read the books before watching the show because I was a very busy person up until like 2 weeks ago. And so during the holiday break, I read book 1 and 2.
My wife is very impressive. Unlike me, she has a real job and she just finished grad school. So she's quite impressive. So we watched the Wheel of Time TV show together, and she started reading the books. So I wanted to get her take on Book 1, The Eye of the World, contrasted with Season 1 of the Wheel of Time TV show. And
or we're just going to compare contrast. That's easy.
we're talking about the book.
Okay, that's fine.
You can also talk about the TV show if you want.
Well, I thought we were just talking about the book.
Yeah, we're talking about the book, and then you can talk about the TV show if it's good or better or worse.
Got it.
You can talk about anything. Season 1 of the TV show is book 1.
Okay.
So, my wife's face is hidden right now. Maybe if I get enough subscribers, I can convince her to do a wife reveal, but I don't know what kind of number. I don't know what kind of number she'd require for that. Probably 1 million subs, right?
I feel like half of your subscribers literally already know me.
Right now, I'm assuming she won't do a reveal until I have 1 million subs, which is a pretty lofty goal, but we'll get there. So, you watched the Wheel of Time TV show, and then you read book 1.
Yep.
Yeah. What did you think of book 1? The Eye of the World.
I really liked it. I am not a huge fantasy sci-fi person, and so I have a really hard time, especially with books of this size, and so I only read it because you raved about it so much. And because the TV show did make it intriguing. But I really enjoyed it. I thought the characters were really well written. I think in really big books, it's really easy. I don't know. Go way too much into scenery and like details that I have a hard time not skimming over. And I found this book didn't do that as much. So I felt like the most of the book was actually stuff happening in the book and not just 7 pages of what the road looked like, which is why I have not got.
You started Lord of the Rings?
I think I got through like a couple pages gave up.
Yeah, well, the Lord of the Rings is tough because it opens with an excerpt from an in-world textbook about the hobbits.
Oh, well, that would be it then.
It's very interesting. It has nothing to do with the narrative, though.
People say that because I'm an English major.
I was going to bring that up. So the way you said that, though, kind of does you a disservice. You said you struggle with big books.
I don't struggle with big books.
That's why I wanted to stop you, because that is not true at all. My wife is. Do you want me to say your name? My wife is an English major, and she reads books like they're going out of season. I think it took you like 2 days to read this?
Yeah, 2 days for each.
Yeah, she's also read book 2, and we'll get to that later. So This is a thick book. I think this is actually the longest one in the series, book one. I think there's one of them might be a little bit longer, but it's definitely one of the longest ones. It only took Stephanie 2 days. So when she says she struggles to read a book, that's not true. She's not super invested in fantasy books. She reads like Moby Dick.
Yeah, but I would not tell anybody.
I'm just saying she doesn't struggle to read books, but she's never been that big into fantasy.
Definitely struggled with Moby Dick because there's too much descriptive narrative. Yeah. I don't do well with descriptive.
So, but she's read like all the classics and stuff, and
True.
Okay.
I have read many classics. Like
I'm sorry,
Charles Dickens. I've only read Christmas Carol. I want to preface that I'm
trying to build you up.
Yeah, but
I'm trying to set you up.
You're just making me sound
Okay, Stephanie my wife has read a lot of books because she's an English major. She reads books. I got her to start reading the Brandon Sanderson books, and she enjoys those. Not all of them. She's not huge into the Wax and Wayne series.
I just thought he was too powerful when he had both levels, the Ferrochemistry or whatever, and the
Allomancy.
Yeah. It was a too powerful villain.
That's literally the point of the first story is how do you beat a villain that's too powerful to beat. Yeah, that's why it was cool, and she didn't like the entire premise of the book. But that's beside the point.
I didn't.
I'm saying...
I did not like your book, Brandon Sanderson, okay?
I've been trying to preface this so quickly, and we just keep interrupting.
Well, you saying I read classics and I don't. Okay. I do read some classics, but I haven't read all of them.
The point of the story is, my wife reads books. She doesn't read a lot of fantasy books. She's read Brandon Sanderson, and that's about it.
Yes.
That's the extent of her fantasy experience. She's tried to read Lord of the Rings and doesn't love the descriptive narrative. But I got her to read The Eye of the World, and I think the point that you make is very good. The book has a lot of action in it, and not just fighting the whole time, but it is very much so narrative driven. And while Robert Jordan definitely does take breaks to describe the scenery and specific people's clothing, he'll go on and on about women's clothing. I've never found that it takes away from the story because most of the time each scene has a purpose and a goal behind each character, and so a lot of it is very plot driven. And yeah, it was funny. You kept asking me what was the question you asked? You said, "When is it going to get to the boring descriptions?" And I'm like, "That's not what these books are." You're not going to hit a section like Lord of the Rings where where Tolkien just talks about a flower for 10 pages. Especially The Eye of the World starts off really fast. I think by chapter 2, there's been, you're introduced to all the characters you need to know, and there has been an inciting incident that calls everyone to adventure.
I know you mentioned that the Ravens chapter wasn't a late addition, but I actually really liked.
I liked that chapter a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like it introduced Egwene really well.
It just wasn't in the original printing. I believe it was added posthumously. I don't know.
But I thought it also introduced the the thing behind the Ravens, which I might not have noticed as well.
The Ravens prologue, I think, adds a lot of lore and kind of mood to the book, even though it's from a character. It's from a character's. It's from a viewpoint character that doesn't have any other chapters in this book. The book is primarily from the perspective of Rand, and the prologue is from Egwene.
Yep.
So you liked that there was a lot happening. What did you dislike?
I feel like I should have gotten these questions.
Well, I'm coming up with them on the spot.
Well, it's not very good at interview.
It's fairly adequate, I would say.
I feel like if you were interviewing Brandon Sanderson, you would definitely.
Yeah, I would think of my questions beforehand, but I could also improvise pretty well. I don't want to be accused.
What happens if you're in your first question, he answers all the other questions just by going off on stuff, and then you're like,
then we just talk.
Well, I don't know. I'm just saying, interviewing tips.
Well, I don't want to be accused of softballing you and giving you questions beforehand. The internet doesn't like that.
I can't say I don't know what I don't like. It's hard because I have the show in my head and I have the book in my head and now I have book 2 in my head, and so there are things that I was like, oh, when is this gonna happen? But then, I don't know. Like, I feel like this show really showed Lan really well. I really liked him in the show, and then in the first book, I feel like he didn't have as much character.
He doesn't have a lot to do in book one.
Yeah, but I really liked him in the show.
He's kind of just in the background.
I feel like he's a pivotal character in the show.
Well, he's a pivotal character in the series. He just doesn't get a huge spotlight in book one because book one is mostly Rand and a bit of Perrin in that.
So, yeah. I feel like there's like little things, but they're not worth mentioning. Like I thought like the Tinkers or with the traveling people. Like I thought Egwene. I don't know. I felt like she was kind of out of character because like the whole series or like her whole backstory is like, I'm a woman. I do what I want. No man's gonna tell me what to do. And then she's like, okay. And then
does she say that though? Like I don't need men to tell me because her drive at the beginning of the book is I just want to get out of this town and see the world.
No, but it's just very much like don't underestimate me because I'm a woman kind of thing. Well, it's not that she can't like love people because obviously she loves Rand, but like I just felt like her time with the Tinkers was like, really?
I don't know.
You're not worried at all? You got all the stuff on your back and you're not...
That feels pretty in character for me because when she finds the boys trying to sneak out with Moiraine, she is not concerned that they're running from Trollocs. She straight up says, I just want to get out of this town and see the world. And so seeing the Tinkers and seeing a new culture and experiencing it feels like on point.
Yeah. I guess even that, though, I didn't feel like that was like good enough justification, like for like a character to be like, oh, I want to see the world. I'm gonna leave all my family and just sneak off into the night because you guys started like going. It's like, well, who invited you? Like you'd have to have a lot of confidence to be like, oh, I'm gonna come with you on this dangerous journey where you guys might be the chosen ones, but I'm just running. Like I know that this show, like
the show gave her more reason to leave.
Yeah, and I kind of liked that because like even though, like in the book or whatever, the women can't be the Dragon Reborn. I think that was a better reason for her to go because in the book it's like, I want to go, yay me! I don't care about my family. I'm gonna go off. I don't know. I just feel like that was a little extreme. Yeah.
So I agree.
And I think because of that, I don't like Egwene.
In the book or the show?
In the book.
In the book.
Yeah.
You also don't like her in the show.
I also don't love her in the show. Well, that's because she kind of just comes off as like I love you, Rand. I'm going to leave you for everything. I don't actually love you. Like, literally their first scene together is like them having, intimate moment. But then she's like, I'm going to go off and be a wisdom. Wisdoms don't get married. I know. Okay, well, why did you sleep with me? Come on. Like, how selfish is that?
Her first scene with the dialogue is how disinvested she is in Rand.
But, yeah, and that's why, because, you like Rand because he's just this nice guy, and then Egwene's just this, I'm going to do what I want, and I don't care who's... And I don't think that's actually the case, because obviously she's and stuff, but I just feel like I haven't liked her character either in the book or the movie. And I was really excited. Wait, when does the princess, or the daughter Eric come?
Elaine.
Yeah, was that book 1 or book 2?
It's book 1.
Anyway.
Yeah, they pulled it out.
I really like her.
Yeah, exactly. I love Caemlyn in book 1, and they pulled that out of season 1 and put it into season 2 of the TV show. So we haven't even seen it yet.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, I really liked...
Elaine's fantastic.
She is really cool. And I have a grimace, or I have a... What's that word?
Prediction?
No. Anyway, I have an issue with something, but I think it's in book 2. So we won't discuss that.
Well, if it is, I can edit it out.
No, it's in book 2. I know it's in book 2.
Okay. Yes, Elaine is great. Morghese, her mom, is a very cool character too. Do you meet the Aes Sedai there as well?
Rand meets him, yes.
Her. The Aes Sedai?
Sorry, yes. She meets Rand. Him. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And she lets him go, because, how do you say it? Taviran. Anyway, yeah. So, I don't like Egwene. I like Perrin. I thought Perrin's backstory in the TV show is very rough. That's just the most horrific backstory. And so I don't know. I understand because when we were watching it, you were like, oh, this makes sense because in the book it doesn't really explain why he's doesn't want to fight. But
I said I can understand why they're making that choice.
I didn't love the backstory in the show just because I thought it was a little bit too dark. Especially for everything they're gonna go through, to have that as your backstory.
Well, and Brandon Sanderson said that was one of the biggest changes he objected to, and he said the reason being I think it's kind of strange that this character murders his wife and then goes off on an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that feels out of character.
Yeah. But anyway, so...
it was just like too much trauma to not change more of the story.
Yeah. I like Perrin. I like Matt, obviously, way more in the book than in the show, because they turn him into a bad guy in the show.
Yeah.
I feel like in the book, they do a really good job at, like, understanding that the dagger is the one driving his actions, where...
Yes.
In the show, you don't really realize it.
Well, in the show, they say that it's feeding off of him because he's also evil.
Right. And so in the show, it's like, oh, he's evil, whereas in the book, it's like, he's under an evil influence. And so I think because of that, I like Matt more. But I mean, you said he's your favorite character, and so I keep that in mind as all these... Yeah. I mean, like in the book, he doesn't, did I kill his family or did I not kill his family, so.
Obviously, spoilers for book 1 and season 1 of The Wheel of Time.
Well, if you haven't watched or seen this yet, why are you watching this?
Right.
So.
What do you feel about Rand? Because, I mean, this book is almost exclusively told from Rand's perspective. And the TV show changes that a lot. We barely get any of Rand in the TV show.
Yeah. I mean, I like Rand. I think he's, like, the nice guy,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it comes out a lot more in book 2, but I think that at some point he just needs to, like, step up and be like, I think it's more book 2, though, so we can get to that later, but, like, I just feel like he knows who he is, and he doesn't want to face it, and it's like, you're going to have to face it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what makes his character so interesting.
Or just annoying.
Well, but if you take the context of the series... he knows that if he is the Dragon Reborn, that's a lot of responsibility, and it also means a lot of terrible, terrible things about his life.
Yeah.
So I could totally understand him wanting to deny that for as long as possible and not accept it, because if it's true, if he's the Dragon Reborn, so in book 1 he realizes that he can channel, right? Stuff happens and he ends up channeling in that inn and like blowing off the roof of the building, right? In defense of his friends against Trollocs. So he knows that he can channel, right? He also knows any man who does channel will 100% always go crazy, probably murder everyone they love and destroy part of the world.
Right.
So that's a bad thing. And if he can convince himself that he's not actually the Dragon Reborn and just a regular person who can channel, then he can keep himself from channeling and stop himself from going mad. But if he actually is the Dragon Reborn, he's not going to be able to save the world from the Dark One if he doesn't learn how to channel, consequently also making him go mad.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a tragedy, really.
Well, yeah, I feel like he would be more curious about his past and his future, knowing what he knows.
Well, would you be curious if finding that out and confirming your suspicions would mean that you're doomed to go crazy and kill everyone you love?
I mean,
it's a tough spot.
It's a good point. I just get annoyed with Rand telling himself over and over he's not who he is. It's just too much for me.
Too much?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the show, we don't get that at all. He just says, "I'm the Dragon Reborn" at the end of season 1.
I actually did like in the show the little montage of like where he didn't know he was actually using the power, and then you really see that he is.
I think it was, I think it was trying to say the audience didn't know he was channeling, but he did.
Oh, and I thought it was him coming to realization that he was channeling. Either way, I thought it was a well done little scene.
That scene was done well in the show. I want to know what you think about Rand's character in the show, though, versus in the books. Like, do you think he... Because he's developed pretty well in book 1.
Definitely the least, I don't know, covered in the show.
Yeah, he gets, like, the least development.
Right. Like, he doesn't really come into the limelight until the ending episodes.
Until episode 7. Until the end of episode 7 and then episode 8. He does have a lot of dialogue in the show, but he's usually talking about other people. He's usually talking about Egwene or Perrin or Matt.
Yeah.
You mentioned to me when you first finished the book that you didn't love the ending.
Yes. I thought the Green Man was just weird. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. Like, why? He's like a remnant of, those who left him to protect the eye of the world, but he's just like this. Well, and I have a hard time because, like, he gets defeated at the end, right? Spoiler, but he never gets defeated before that when there's like all of these dark things around, you know? And so, I mean, I guess none of the before that, but I don't know. I just thought it was weird. And it was also hard because I watched the season finale before
Right.
I finished the book. And so, like, the short passage of time to get to the Eye of the World, like, even though, you know, the book is a lot longer and they were
Right.
all there, I
Right.
kind of liked that sacrificing moment where Rand's like, it's me, we're just gonna go. But in the book, you don't say anybody who goes who isn't the Dragonborn is gonna die. And so
Yeah.
you don't
But-
really need that.
But then it turns out that Moraine went and she didn't die.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, so it's just, yeah, I don't know. I had a lot of issues with the ending in the show. I didn't love the ending in the book. I just thought,
Apart from the Green Man, though, when he starts actually fighting using the power, what do you feel about that?
I don't know. For some reason, I just didn't love that whole scene. And I can't, like, put my finger on why. Like, he was, like, flying over the armies, fighting, and I don't know. Just, I don't know. Maybe it was, like, because it was from Rand's head. I didn't like it. I don't know. I just, like, in my head, I was like, this is kind of a... But, I mean, again, when you're in that moment, he obviously thinks he's defeating, you know, the Dark One, and he's not, and so maybe that's why it's kind of anticlimactic in, like, it's build up and actual fulfillment, but...
Does it say in the book that it's not the Dark One? Okay.
Well, he's fighting the Dark One, but it's not, like, the end, you know?
Oh, because it's book one.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
So,
So you know that there's more. Even if he defeats the Dark One, there's more to the story.
yes. Yeah. So, but... Anyway, I don't know.
Wait, do you already know that he wasn't fighting the Dark One then?
I don't know. You told me, so I can't remember.
You just said it.
Yeah, but that was not the end.
Yeah, it's not the end.
I mean, it wasn't like... I don't know, because in the show he's like an illusion, you know? So you break the seal.
Right. Yeah, well, I agree that, I mean, book one is probably the weakest ending of all of the books in the series. And, I mean, Robert Jordan has said that he had, you know, he was still developing as an author and he hadn't fully fleshed out the world and the magic when he wrote book one. You know, he obviously didn't realize it was going to be 15 books long.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so there are a couple outliers in book one, like inconsistencies or things that are slightly retconned later in the books, like the Trolloc that can talk at the beginning, Narg. Do you remember that?
No.
When Rand and his father are attacked at their farm,
Oh.
they leave and then come back, and there's a Trolloc who's stayed and waited,
Yes.
pretending to be dead, and he talks to them.
Yes.
Narg was smart. Narg, you know, he's the only talking Trolloc in the entire series. But so there are little things like that in book one that kind of fall out of line from the rest of the series, and I think the ending, for sure, is a little out there. With the, I agree, the Green Man is kind of weird. I like him personally, but you know, the ending is not quite as tight as the rest of the series.
I just find it weird that he like survived all of those centuries since, you know, the original whatever, and then he dies.
I think it's explained that like he has to like let people into his domain, and so he lets the kids in,
Maybe.
and it also lets the Forsaken in. I'm not 100% sure.
Maybe. Anyway, overall, I liked the book. I appreciated it, what it did more than the show. I don't like the changes that the show did, especially to some of the characters, like Perrin and Matt, I've already mentioned. The pretty much gloss over of Rand. So
You were very let down by the season finale too.
I didn't appreciate the lack of explanation that it would provide to
Anything?
people. Like, she's like, oh, the stone's broken. That means something. It's like, okay, well, how in the world did I know that? You didn't explain it. And if you did, it was like in this, oh, the stone's broken, then what are we going to do? You know, yeah. So, and then he leaves. I mean, him leaving makes sense because he thinks he's defeated the Dark One. But in the book, he doesn't do that. I mean, he says he's going to, but then he doesn't. And then he tries. It's too late.
Right.
That's book 2, sorry.
But you mostly enjoyed book one.
Yep.
Except the ending wasn't great.
Yep, go ahead and read it. That's my review.
It's better than the TV show. Is your opinion?
Well, I mean, if you want to invest in the Wheel of Time and the true story, then yes. It's not like, your siblings were watching it while they were at our house, and they're like, yeah, the ending of the show. And I was like, oh, yeah, it doesn't happen to people like that. So,
Well, any other thoughts on book 1? The Otherworld.
no, I have a lot of thoughts on book 2.
Okay. All right. So that's been my wife talking about The Eye of the World, book 1 of The Wheel of Time, and season 1 of The Wheel of Time TV show. She is a fast reader, so she's probably going to burn through these books in like less than a month because she's crazy.
I'm tired. The first 2 were exhausting. They weren't exhausting, they were great, but the problem is when I read, I want to find out what happens, and so I don't sleep, and so then I'm so tired, and I'm like, I have to sleep.
So we'll be doing a follow-up with reviewing all of the books, and she'll probably finish them before season 2 comes out, though.
When's that?
A year from now.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
She's going to finish the whole series before season 2, because she's crazy.
What? That's a year.
Yeah.
356 days.
All right.
Anyway.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more of my wife. Or less of, you didn't actually see her, but you heard her voice. Isn't it beautiful? Bye.